I'm David Fleming from the Disciples Ignited YouTube channel, where we are focused on Jesus, advancing his kingdom, and preparing his disciples. Now, we've been studying the book of Romans, and we've been in Romans chapter 5 this week, and really we have been focusing in on verse 6. Let me read it to you once again. It says, "You see, at just the right time, when we were still powerless, Christ died for the ungodly." Now, what we've been concentrating on is that phrase, just the right time, which comes from the Greek word kairos, speaking of God's appointed time. And there are, throughout Scripture, we see evidence that there are seasons, there are times when God has appointed something to happen to really advance his kingdom and to accomplish his plan. So Jesus is teaching his disciples and us that we're not always going to be told God's kairos, when he is going to bring to pass his appointed time. He didn't tell us the exact time that he was coming when he came as a little baby. But yet he had given hints. For hundreds of years, he's been prophesying the coming of the Messiah. But God didn't give the exact date, and we are not going to be given exact dates either. The Father has not appointed us to know the kairos. However, Jesus rebuked the crowds that were listening to him teach, that were seeing his miracles, that were experiencing his life-giving ministry, and they did not discern that the kairos of God, the appointed time of God, was right before them. Let me read to you a verse that points this out. Luke chapter 12, verse 56, where Jesus says to the crowds that he's been teaching and ministering to, he says, "Hypocrites! You know how to interpret the appearance of the earth and the sky. How is it that you don't know how to interpret this present time, this present kairos, this present appointed time of God?" See, God had appointed them to live in a time when the Messiah would be revealed, but yet they did not discern it. Jesus was right before them, but they did not discern that the appointed time of God was before them, that they were living in the kairos moment. And so while we may not always discern the exact timing that is going to come upon us, we must be able to discern that it has come and that we are in the midst of it. You know, before the timing of God, the kairos moment of God, the appointed time of God, you may labor in God's kingdom for years and not see a lot of fruit come. However, the kairos times of God are always times of fruitfulness. Listen to this. In Psalm 126, verses 5 and 6, we read, "Those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy." Why? Because God's appointed time for harvest has come. Paul bears this out so beautifully when he wrote in Galatians chapter 6, verse 9, "At the appointed time, at the appointed kairos, at the appointed time of God, we will reap a harvest." Here's the clincher. If we don't give up. So what do you do until the appointed time of God for your harvest comes? You stay faithful, you pray, you worship, you live by the Spirit, you witness, you evangelize. And you, my friend, will come to your appointed time of harvest, the kairos time of God's blessing to you. There's one more lesson that I want to share with you, so I'll see you tomorrow.